What's up, guys? Got another video coming to you from Real Patriots Fishing today on finesse fishing. So light tackle, light gear, smaller profile baits, my setup, what I'm choosing to use going into the spring. We're going to talk about some of the gear. We're going to talk about some of the baits. But first of all, I want to thank you guys for supporting the channel, for watching the videos and providing support. I like doing this stuff to educate people on how I catch fish so other people can catch fish a little bit better. I know it can be difficult when you're first starting out and you're learning and nobody wants to share information with you. So I fish here in Central Virginia, well, most Central Eastern Virginia. And when I first moved here, it was very difficult for me to learn how to tidal fish and just learn different things about bass fishing, as I came from Idaho. So bait profiles were a lot different, gear was a lot different, and I had to kind of adapt my ways and try and figure stuff out. So we're going to talk about swim jigs, we're going to talk about Zaza tadpoles, Hellgrammites, some of the lure presentation styles, some of the hook setups and different ways to rig them. And then you guys can go out there and give it a shot on your own and see if you have some of the same success I have. So stay tuned. First thing I'm going to go over is my rod selection. So when I am out there finesse fishing, or I'm trying to use a smaller bait presentation like this Zaza tadpole right here. I really, last year I picked up this pole, the Symmetry. It's a 6-foot SYS 60L, and the L stands for Powered Light Action Fast. So it's paired with a Spartacus 2 because the Spartacus 2 is really light, and then I got some 8-pound braid going to some 8-pound fluoro. So that's my setup that I use as far as rod selection goes. Now you can use a couple different rods if you want, depending on what you're throwing, but for the most part, if I'm throwing a Zaza tadpole or a small Hellgrammite, this is what I'm going to be throwing it on. The swim jigs, I'll probably go with a 6.5 rod or something like that, but at the same time, it's all based on your preference. So as far as hooks go, you got a couple different options. So if you can see this is just a small weedless jig head, basically, that you could thread the Zaza tadpole right onto, tie right to your line, and throw it and jig it how you want. You could also rig it with a drop shot style hook with a weight on the bottom so it's suspended if that's what you want to do. And you could also put it on just a regular big size jig head if you're trying to get into a little bit deeper water. So it all kind of depends. I usually run a 3/16 jig head or even a smaller jig head from my crappie stash, basically. So those are jig heads that you use. I got one more in here that this is usually what I have tied on with the tadpole. You can see it's a very small jig meant for crappie fishing, and I catch a lot of crappie and I catch a lot of yellow perch on it too. So you guys know my preferred bait is the Zaza tadpole. So basically, as you're working this through the water columns, you're letting it fall, bouncing it. These things have incredible stretch, as you can see. I've had the same pack of Zaza tadpoles for like 5 years, so I highly recommend them. They're not cheap. I think for 5 of them it's like $9 or $11 right now, but they're really good. The other finesse bait that I like to use is this Nico Hellgrammite, and you can use a Zoom Hellgrammite, you can use a Bass Pro Hellgrammite, you can use whatever Hellgrammite you like. Zaza, or not Zaza, but Nico baits have a couple different Hellgrammites out now. Some of them are floating, these are sinking. I like the sinking ones a little bit better, unless I'm fishing a fast river, then I want them floating because I want them up in the water column a little bit more. But you do the same thing. You could put these on a wide gap, small wide gap hook if you want, or a jig head just like you would the Zaza tadpole. And then another thing that the Nico baits make are these little soft maggots. If I can get them open. I probably can't get it open. But basically, it's just an imitation maggot, right? So bluegill absolutely love to destroy these. And again, look at the stretch and the flex on these. I've never had one rip off or lose one. These are the same ones I bought probably 8 years ago. I don't use them as much as I use a tadpole, but if fishing gets really tough and I want to mess with bluegill, then that's what I'll put on. I'll put it on a bobber, small float, and that's what I'll run. So those are two baits. Basically, you know, a straight jig head, Texas rigged, or drop shot that you can use. Now, my preferred bait for, you know, throughout the whole year for finesse fishing, or for a smaller, you know, presentation light tackle, is going to be the swim jig. Okay, so this right here is the Ike mini swim jig. My preferred is the Midwest finessed. They come in a bunch of different colors with different sizes. Unfortunately, they no longer make the 3/16 Midwest finesse. These are all 3/16. I talked to a guy up in Smith Mountain Lake out of Bedford, and I got him to make me some 3/16 swim jigs. They're a little bit bigger profile, and I can trim these skirts down and basically get the same thing as the Midwest. Wolf Spider Baits, check him out. He makes some really cool colors. I had him make just the regular colors, you know, the green pumpkin. This is one of the green pumpkins, one that he made for me. Absolutely great bait. We're going to put it to the test here in the next couple weeks. The finesse bait, you know, you could put all kinds of different trailers on them. I like the double tail grubs. I was using the Yamamoto's, but they rip off so easily and they break apart so easily, and you're paying $9 a pack for them. That's why you'll see in one of my other videos that I started making my own. So you could try different trailers on there. You could put a craw on there. You could put like a Rage Menace grub on there. You could do a bunch of different things. And that's basically how I set up my swim jigs. So my swim jig pole is just a carbon ugly stick. I'll show it to you guys real quick. It's a pretty simple setup. This is a carbon ugly stick. I believe it's the 6.5. Let's see here. I'll read it right to you so you know exactly what I'm using. It's the USC BCA 701 medium. So it's a 7-foot medium fast, you know, 8 to 17 pound line. I run straight fluorocarbon for my swim jigs because I like to feel it. This one I'm throwing on an Abu Garcia Max STX 6:1 gear ratio. The gear ratio to me, I know a lot of people think is really important, but to me it's not as important. Because most of the time when I'm finessing this, I'm casting it out, I'm keeping my rod tip up, and I'm swimming it through the water column. There's times where I'm going to let that drop to the very bottom, and I'm basically going to see if anything will pick it up. I'm going to change my retrieval up. I'm going to change where I throw it. You know, if I'm throwing it into a set of wood, or if I'm throwing it into a, you know, a fast moving current, I might wind it a little bit faster or a little bit slower. Those are just things you kind of got to figure out as you go. So if you haven't tried swim jigs, and I was in the same boat literally last year, I had never thrown a swim jig. Never picked up a swim jig, never tied one on, never had it. And you can see right now my box is going to be set up with swim jigs, because I primarily caught the majority of my fish on swim jigs. And I'm going to throw up some pictures real quick so you guys can see those of all the fish that I caught on swim jigs. This isn't all of them, but this is some of them. So you can see this one's been used pretty good. Most of the skirt starting to miss, starting to, you know, kind of fall apart. The rubber band's about to come off. You know, the grub is a different color. This is the Midwest Finesse with the brush guard on it. I really like it. Comes through the water column good. You can fish it around cover. You can fish it around brush piles. You can fish it a bunch of different ways. You can wind it fast like you're swimming it, or you can wind it slow. Now the majority of mine come off of 3 different colors: black and blue, white, or green pumpkin. This year I'm going to be trying the fire craw color, or the orange Bama craw color early this spring to see how it works. But that's basically my setup, guys. And right now I can tell you, my first trip, I'm going to have 3 of those set up on my rods. 3 different colors, depending on what we're doing. The Zaza Tadpole, again, you guys have seen me catch a lot of fish with it. I'm going to be throwing this in the spring. Going to be, you know, concentrating on slow movements in the spring. This usually dies off in the summertime, I think, because the fish start to recognize that there are, you know, bigger frogs out there. You know, the tadpoles have all kind of grown up. But I've gone out there in the middle of the summer and I've caught them, you know, doing the same thing. So give it a try. The Zaza Tadpole. Try use some micro finesse fishing. And the fun thing is on a kayak with a small rod and a small bait, if you catch a nice bass, a 2-pound bass, man, it feels like a 10-pounder. You're having a blast. So give it a check them out, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys have used either the Hellgrammite, the Zaza Tadpole, or the swim jig early off in the spring, and let me know your guys' experiences with it. I also want to take the time to thank you guys for supporting the channel, for watching the videos. It's a big part of why I do what I do. I like to share my knowledge with everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, follow my Facebook. I have an Instagram, I have a TikTok. Not a lot on the TikTok. I'm not a big TikTok person. I don't like being in the camera that much, but I want to produce some more content for you guys and keep this thing going, and hopefully you guys like the videos. All right, thank you. And when you're done watching the video, I would appreciate if you guys would subscribe to the channel and like the video, or don't like the video, either way, or provide some type of comment in there so I know things that I can work on, things that I can get better. We're gonna start fishing heavy here the next couple months as the weather starts to turn a little bit better. Today's probably the nicest day we've had in a long time. You know, it's January still. 68 degrees today, which I should be out on the water fishing, but I'm here in the garage instead, providing some information for you guys so you can get set up for this spring and you can go catch them big fish. Thank you.